Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here, as you guys can see up on the screen. Today, we are going to be talking about Nemesis. We had previously talked about how Nemesis, you can see him on the screen wearing some Gen G merch, how him and Crownshot had signed with Gen G, and maybe some of their potential future plans where they're going to be content creators with the teams, they're going to be live viewing the Gen G games in the LCK, but then also that they're potentially trying to move in with LS in kind of a house where they're going to be not only creating content together, but also scrimming some Korean amateur and challenger teams and stuff like that. And it was just this whole crazy, thing filled with just rumors and speculation. But obviously people are very, very interested in it because LS has a monster fan base. Nemesis, especially from his time on Fnatic, and just as a content creator, has a massive fan base. And people really, really like Crownshot as well. So people want to know what is exactly going on. Today we have some big updates and we're going to be going over all those in today's video, and I'll be giving my thoughts and opinions throughout. But before we get into that, I just wanted to mention real quick, if you have not already, take a second really, really fast and smash that like button for me. I would appreciate it so, so much. It is honestly one of the best and easiest ways to help support my channel and content. It really helps me continue to grow, helps me out with the YouTube algorithm so, so much, and I would appreciate it. That would be pretty dope. Also, if you've not already, click that subscribe button really fast as well. Helps you guys stay up to date on all my latest content so you don't miss out on any of the stuff we have going on. With that being said, let's take a look at what's going on. So Nemesis tweeted out, this is February 5th, a couple days ago. I just didn't get to this a couple days ago, but it's been on my radar. Visa approved with a happy emoji. Obviously, this is him talking about getting his visa to be able to go from Slovenia, I believe is his home country, over into Korea, because this whole thing of him moving in with LS and getting to scrim with these teams and all this stuff, it obviously requires him to be in Korea, and obviously there's a pandemic going on right now. Travel is a little bit difficult. Getting visas is difficult. I mean, there's some teams in professional leagues. Like, Nemesis is just a content creator. There's teams in professional leagues, Broxa with CLG right now, who can't even get a visa to come to the United States to play in the LCS. So, there was a fair chance that maybe Nemesis would have visa issues, travel issues, whatever's going on. But thankfully, obviously, he has gotten his visa approved. He will be able to head to Korea. We haven't, I don't think we've gotten any official word from Crownshot yet exactly what's going on with him. Maybe his visa's already been approved. Maybe he's waiting on it. I'm not exactly sure. What we do know for sure, LS had some tweets about this where he's talking about looking at getting an apartment for all of them, including Nemesis and Crownshot. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like any of the plans have changed. It does seem like Crownshot is still a part of all this. He hasn't necessarily tweeted about anything yet. He hasn't given any major updates, but we know for sure that Nemesis is all good to go. He's all squared away. He is going to be headed to Korea. So that is awesome. That is great to hear. And it just brings about the meme of, like, Nemesis is more competent than CLG's management, which isn't true at all. Obviously, every visa situation is completely unique. Different countries, we're talking different scenarios completely, but it is just pretty funny, and that did come to my mind. So the big follow-up here is that LS tweeted out, co-streams going well, can't wait for scrims to start, which is also kind of a meme template used previously, so people weren't really sure, like, what does this really mean? Is he just memeing? Is he just joking around? This is like the normal preseason tweet that pros always have, like, oh, scrim's going well, can't wait for LCS to start or whatever, and sometimes they're just joking, sometimes they're being serious. You never really know. So I saw this tweet from LS, I just kind of brushed it off. I was like, whatever, I don't know, kind of maybe a funny tweet, maybe not, but somebody actually responded to him. This guy, I don't know his name or how to pronounce it, but he said, can someone explain to me what he means by the scrims? Are Crowny and Nemesis scrim with Korean teams or stream them? Don't get that part. And obviously, again, we had heard that their plan was kinda to have Nemesis and Crownshot scrimming against the Korean amateur teams, Korean challenger teams, anybody that they can play against, anybody that's willing. Maybe they'll stream some of it, maybe they'll create some content around some of it, but at the least, they'll get Nemesis and Crownshot some really, really high-level competition, so not only they can stay fresh, but also they can continue practicing, they can get their name and stuff out there to other prospective teams to show them, like, how good they are still doing, how good they are at League of Legends still, because obviously, it seems like both of these guys still do want to play high-level competitive League of Legends, and Korea, having Korean solo queue, getting to work with Gen G, and also getting scrim against all these teams is an awesome opportunity. So this is great, and apparently, this guy didn't know about that. That's totally fine. Not everyone can know about everything, but LS's response was pretty interesting. He said, we are going to scrim against LCK and LPL, so I guess I missed that. It's also LPL, Academy, and Challenger teams. and they will be streamed. And LS says, I'm going to play jungle or support depending on the games. Now, what? This is not something that I expected at all. I know that LS, I don't know what rank he's ever been to before. Has he been Challenger? Has he been Grandmaster? I know I've seen him at least be Master before, but maybe he's been Challenger? I don't know for sure. Maybe he's been Grandmaster. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, I don't think many people would argue that LS is Academy or Challenger level in Korea or China. And even if he is good enough at like a solo queue level, and maybe he, understands the game at a high level or whatever, certain people think he's the smartest man alive. Certain people think he's the stupidest person alive. You can argue back and forth on that all day. But he's going to participate in the scrims against LCK and LPL Academy and Challenger teams with Nemesis and Crownshot. I just don't get it. I mean, one, is that worth it for LCK and LPL Academy and Challenger teams to be playing against LS? Like, obviously, yes, Nemesis would be good practice for a lot of these teams. Crownshot would be good practice for a lot of these teams. But you're laning against Crownshot and LS? Like, I don't know. Like, to me, in some ways, maybe I'm wrong here. I could be wrong. Maybe LS is going to smurf. Maybe he's going to be crazy, whatever. But I would be surprised, especially if he's going to be trying to play two different positions. Like, I mean, don't you kind of have to focus on something to get it down well? But are these teams really going to get anything out of laning against Crownshot and LS? Like, I don't know. To me, it would kind of seem like, especially over in the East where they practice a ton, they scrim a ton, they really are constantly working around the clock every minute, every hour of every single day is so valuable. They're going to convince teams to do this, and like if a couple of them go poorly, are they going to be able to continually convince teams to play against LS? Like, man, I don't know. I feel like that's going to be a little bit of a tough sell. I don't know exactly how many connections or whatever LS has over in the East, or how much kind of leash they give him on this kind of stuff. Who knows? But this is definitely not something I was expecting to hear. And then on the side of Nemesis and Crownshot, how much is Crownshot getting out of a game where he's laning with LS? Like, yeah, it's going to be hilarious content. And if they're streaming it, it might put up big viewers. And if there's a funny clip, it's going to absolutely blow up. It's going to be all over Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff, whatever. That's just the nature of having three people with massive fan bases put together. And you throw in Korean teams, Chinese teams, just all that stuff going on. You have a recipe for some really awesome content. But if these guys are focused on getting back to the LEC or getting into the LCS or something like that, continuing to play at high levels, is this really the best use of their time? Is this really the best practice? Now, I could be wrong. Maybe it's just for content or whatever, but I would think that everyone involved would want a high-level practice environment, high-level scrims and stuff like that to actually improve, but also to showcase their talents to prospective teams. If you're an Academy or Challenger player in the LCK or LPL, you obviously want to move up, and if you're Crownshot Nemesis, you seem like you would want to move up as well. Again, I'm not even sure who the rest of their teams is going to be for these scrims. We know LS, Crownshot, and Nemesis for sure. I thought maybe like Kuve or Ambition or maybe some of those old Gen G players would potentially be playing with them. But I'm not exactly 100% sure about that. I don't know all the details. But man, Nemesis playing with his mid-jung duo being him and LS against some of these top-tier teams, or Crownshot laning bot lane with LS against some of these teams, I think it is a little bit weird. There's a lot I like about this whole scenario, this whole situation. Again, I like these guys really taking the big risk of going over to Korea, not only to make a bunch of awesome content, most likely, and increase their popularity, increase their branding. That'll be good for them in so many different ways, getting their socials up, building up their streams, their YouTubes, helping them build a living while obviously they are, unemployed for the most part. That's great. I think that's an awesome idea. And I like them getting the chance to go and play Korean solo queue. Obviously, that's awesome. And when I first heard the idea of them getting to scrim against some of these teams, I thought that was great as well. But now I have a lot more questions, and maybe this is part of them trying to drum it up and kind of hype it up, and maybe they'll play with different players every week, because LS does say depending on the game. So I'm sure they'll have a bunch of different people. This guy does ask who are the other two people playing with you. This guy says most likely Shrimp and his other friend that mains GP will play top. I'm not sure exactly who they're talking about there. I'm not super infinite. I'm not super. I was reading. I'm not super familiar with that situation. This guy says, "Oh yeah, infinite content," and I do tend to kind of agree there. But yeah, I don't know. This is kind of a weird situation for me. So there is some good news that Nemesis visa has been approved. He's going to be headed over to Korea. They do have a lot of this set up. We did hear from LS tweeting that they are having a little bit of trouble actually getting an apartment. I guess a lot of the apartment complexes or whatever they're looking into have had issues in the past with esports pros. I don't know if it's being too loud or maybe staying up too late or maybe they ruined the internet. You know, I don't know exactly what the problem was, but for whatever reason, some of the apartment complexes were like, we don't want any esports guys here. So they're having some troubles. Nothing is completely 100% ironed out and concrete yet. But again, if Nemesis is going as so far as to get a visa and they're getting this all set up and they're planning all this stuff, it seems like it's going to be happening. It seems like they're hitting the ground running. It seems like they're going with it. And kudos to them for at least planning all this stuff out and getting something awesome set up. Either way, it's going to be hilarious. Either way, it's going to be something that I'm sure a lot of people didn't tune into. But man, in the end, is it really going to work for getting these guys the practice and stuff they need to get back onto a team? Maybe. We'll see. But in the end, I do believe both of these guys are worthy of being on LCS and LEC teams. So I do think no matter what they do, they should be able to work their way back up into starting positions in the very near future. So I don't think this should be too, detrimental or devastating to them in the end. But it is a little bit weird to me. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. I would appreciate it so much. Really helps me out a ton with YouTube algorithm. Way more than you guys even know, probably. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this whole situation? Do you think it's a good idea for LS to be scrimming with them? Do you think it'll make it more popular, more interesting, more funny, whatever? Or do you think it's a little bit weird and this is kind of souring it a little bit for you? Because I think that's the side that I'm on right now. Subscribe to update on all my latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!